Hi guys, so a couple of weeks ago I made a video on Max Park and his approach to solving big cubes and how we can learn from that. And after experimenting that for about a month, I guess I have my thoughts on it and I guess why some of those methods work and some of them I feel are not quite pragmatic, and perhaps also why Max is able to do them correctly and why I don't feel that's quite sustainable. So the two big things I talked about were one, pauseless. So that means turning a little slower, but making sure you don't stop turning. And that also could mean being a little less efficient, but choosing an option that you see right away. And then two was versatility. So using your left hand a lot more as an insertion, almost treating the cube like two buffers. So we're gonna go through centers, edges, last four edges on both 6 and 7. So for centers on both cubes, actually, I will say that it is better to not go extreme, let's say to Kevin's extent, where Kevin tries to find like the best option possible and then execute it as fast as possible. And I think maybe that might be a little too much of an extreme. However, efficiency is really, really important from my experience. So just for reference, when I was trying to do the Max Park centers on 6x6, it took me about like 41 seconds or so, and I stopped and I decided to just be a little more efficient. And just make sure I chose the best option, whether I turn fast or not, whether I float or not, just find good options and do them correctly. And I very, very strongly sub 40, so like maybe 37 centers or so. I don't know, something like that. So it's really important on both 6 and 7 to find right options, especially 6x6, because you can do very creative things in a very short amount of time. For 7x7 it is possible, but it's usually possible it takes more moves to the creative solution, so you can usually maybe do it with less kind of pausing. You can flow into it better. But for 6x6, big picture, especially with the 2x2 blocks, is very useful many times. And while his method does work to some extent, I do think it's important to be efficient on centers. So yeah, just for reference, his 140 6x6 solve had 56 centers. His 147x7 solve had 56 centers, which you comparatively, your center should take about a little over half of your solve on 7, and took very clearly a lot more than that. So yeah, Max is just, he, as we can see, he just is very, very good at what he does, and as a result, this has worked for him well. But I do think being efficient is more sustainable in the long run, and I do think that is something that Max can work on himself. So that's one. Now for first state edges, I actually do think what he does works really well, which is that he pairs immediately what he sees and just keeps going and keeps the flow up, and he doesn't stop turning. And it actually really helped me to go that way. So in general, I would say that use your left hand. Oh, for centers, left hand. Little on left hand for centers, it works really well, but just again, efficiency is key. So just be careful. That's all. Yeah, back to edges. So Max's idea of versatility with his left hand also helps a lot. So using the back buffer or the left buffer, but then again, using the back buffer does work okay. It's just that it puts a little less strain on your hand if you use your left hand at times. So your right hand might be better equipped to do other kinds of finger tricks. So I do actually think it's useful, but it's important to be comfortable with the left finger trick, and it does take a little bit of time to get used to. But it's worth getting good at. The only issue I have with Max's first state edges is very often he had 3 out of 4 solved or 4 out of 5 solved, and he would have multiple of those. Remember in my video on getting video a while ago, I talked about not really doing this at all. But what I realized is it's usually useful to do like 1 or 2 of them. So let's say I have just 4 pieces solved, and I have like 1 bar like that, or I have like 3 pieces solved on 1. But for 7x7, I wouldn't go beyond 1, because it is very easy to see like nicer options since you have more pieces to pair, that it's often worth investigating and looking further. And as I talked about in entropy, you can use it a lot more on 7x7. But on 6x6, flow, kind of like 5x5, is a lot harder to do. 6x6 edges do require you to be on top of it a lot, and that is why I would say for 6x6, it's more okay to leave 3 out of 4 pair. So conclusion, Max does a great job with his first state edges. They're probably the best part of his reduction. The only thing is, don't go too far with the 4 out of 5 and 3 out of 4. Now for last 4 edges, I think it's really important as well on 6x6 and 7x7 both to find a good start. So when you start your last 4 edges, you start off with an option that's good. You take that moment to pause. But yeah, once you're done with that start, I would say flow is pretty important there. However, on your last two edges, you could end up in some very, very bad cases, and you want to make sure that doesn't happen. So it is also important to maintain efficiency. However, at the same time, it's very hard to kind of look ahead in that stage, and the pauses may not be worth it entirely. So in short, kind of a cross between first aid edges and centers. So you don't want to go as efficient as you would be in centers, let's say, but you don't want to go purely max park or 90% max park like you would on first aid edges. Yeah, so that's my kind of deduction so far and my reasonings for my deductions. And feel free, I'm gonna be trying out more of this. Feel free to suggest any ideas for the future. Thank you.